Jasper and his assistant both throwing themselves silently on their pallets, which neither quitted again that night. "And now, Sergeant," said Cap, as soon as he had found himself master of the deck, "you will just have the goodness to give me the courses and distance, that I may see the boat keeps her head the right way." "I know nothing of either, brother Cap," returned Dunham, not a little embarrassed at the question. "We must make the best of our way to the station among the Thousand Islands, where we shall land, relieve the party that is already out, and get information for our future government. That's it, nearly word for word, as it stands in the written orders." "But you can muster a chart, something in the way of bearings and distances, that I may see the road?" "I do not think Jasper ever had anything of the sort to go by." "No chart, Sergeant Dunham?" "Not a scrap of a pen, even. Our sailors navigate this lake without any aid from maps." "The devil they do! They must be regular yahoos. And do you suppose, Sergeant Dunham, that I can find one island out of 1,000 without knowing its name or its position, without even a course or a distance?" "As for the name, brother Cap, you need not be particular, for not one of the whole 1,000 has a name, and so a mistake can never be made on that score. As for the position, never having been there myself, I can tell you nothing about it, nor do I think its position of any particular consequence, provided we find the spot. Perhaps one of the hands on deck can tell us the way." "Hold on, Sergeant. Hold on a moment, if you please, Sergeant Dunham. If I am to command this craft, it must be done, if you please, without holding any councils of war with the cook and cabin boy. A shipmaster is a shipmaster, and he must have an opinion of his own, even if it be a wrong one. I suppose you know service well enough to understand that it is better in a commander to go wrong than to go nowhere. At all events, the Lord High Admiral couldn't command a yawl with dignity, if he consulted the coxswain every time he wished to go ashore. No, sir. If I sink, I sink. But, damn me, I'll go down ship-shape and with dignity." "But, brother Cap, I have no wish to go down anywhere, unless it be to the station among the Thousand Islands whither we are bound." "Well, well, Sergeant, rather than ask advice, that is, direct, barefaced advice, of a foremast hand, or any other than a quarter-deck officer, I would go round to the whole 1,000, and examine them one by one until we got the right haven. But there is such a thing as coming at an opinion without manifesting ignorance, and I will manage to rouse all there is out of these hands, and make them think all the while that I am cramming them with my own experience. We are sometimes obliged to use the glass at sea, when there is nothing in sight, or to heave the lead long before we strike soundings. When a youngster, I sailed 2 voyages with a man who navigated his ship pretty much by the latter sort of information, which sometimes answers." "I know we are steering in the right direction at present," returned the Sergeant, "but in the course of a few hours we shall be up with a headland, where we must feel our way with more caution." "Leave me to pump the man at the wheel, brother, and you shall see that I will make him suck in a very few minutes." Cap and the Sergeant now walked aft, until they stood by the sailor who was at the helm, Cap maintaining an air of security and tranquillity, like one who was entirely confident of his own powers. "There is a wholesome air, my lad," Cap observed, in the manner that a superior on board a vessel sometimes condescends to use to a favored inferior. "Of course you have it in this fashion off the land every night?" "At this season of the year, sir," the man returned, touching his hat, out of respect, to his new commander and Sergeant Dunham's connection. "The same thing, I take it, among the Thousand Islands? The wind will stand, of course, though we shall then have land on every side of us." "When we get further east, sir, the wind will probably shift, for there can then be no particular land breeze." "Ay, ay, so much for your fresh water. It is always some trick that is opposed to nature. Now, down among the West India Islands, one is just as certain of having a land breeze as he is of having a sea breeze. In that respect there is no difference, though it's quite in rule it should be different up here on this bit of fresh water. Of course, my lad, you know all about these said Thousand Islands?" "Lord bless you, Master Cap, nobody knows all about them or anything about them. They are a puzzle to the oldest sailor on the lake, and we don't pretend to know even their names. For that matter, most of them have no more names than a child that dies before it is christened." "Are you a Roman Catholic?" demanded the Sergeant sharply. "No, sir, nor anything else. I'm a generalizer about religion, never troubling that which don't trouble me." "Humph! A generalizer, that is, no doubt, one of the new sects that afflict the country," muttered Mr. Dunham, whose grandfather had been a New Jersey Quaker, his father a Presbyterian, and who had joined the Church of England himself after he entered the army. "I take it, John," resumed Cap, "your name is Jack, I believe." "No, sir, I am called Robert." "Ay, Robert, it's very much the same thing, Jack or Bob; we use the two indifferently. I say, Bob, it's good holding ground, is it, down at this same station for which we are bound?" "Bless you, sir, I know no more about it than one of the Mohawks, or a soldier of the 55th. "Did you never anchor there?" "Never, sir. Master Eau douce always makes fast to the shore." "But in running in for the town, you kept the lead going, out of question, and must have tallowed as usual." "Tallow! And town too! Bless your heart, Master Cap, there is no more town than there is on your chin, and not half as much tallow." The Sergeant smiled grimly, but his brother-in-law did not detect this proof of humor. "No church tower, nor light, no fort, huh? There is a garrison, as you call it hereaway, at least?" "Ask Sergeant Dunham, sir, if you wish to know that. All the garrison is on board the Scud." "But in running in, Bob, which of the channels do you think the best? The one you went last, or the other?" "I can't say, sir. I know nothing of either." "You didn't go to sleep, fellow, at the wheel, did you?" "Not at the wheel, sir, but down in the forepeak in my berth. Eau douce sent us below, soldiers and all, with the exception of the pilot. We know no more of the road than if we had never been over it. This he has always done in going in and coming out, and, for the life of me, I could tell you nothing of the channel, or the course, after we are once fairly up with the islands. No one knows anything of either but Jasper and the pilot." "Here is a circumstance for you, Sergeant," said Cap, leading his brother-in-law a little aside. "There is no one on board to pump, for they all suck from ignorance at the first stroke of the brake. How the devil am I to find the way to this station for which we are bound?" "Sure enough, brother Cap, your question is more easily put than answered. Is there no such thing as figuring it out by navigation? I thought you salt-water mariners were able to do as small a thing as that. I have often read of their discovering islands, surely." "That you have, brother, that you have; and this discovery would be the greatest of them all, for it would not only be discovering one island, but one island out of 1,000. "Still, the sailors of the lake have a method of finding the places they wish to go to." "If I have understood you, Sergeant, this station or blockhouse is particularly private." "It is indeed, the utmost care having been taken to prevent a knowledge of its position from reaching the enemy." "And you expect me, a stranger on your lake, to find this place without chart, course, distance, latitude, longitude, or soundings, ay, damn me, or tallow? Allow me to ask if you think a mariner runs by his nose, like one of Pathfinder's hounds?" "Well, brother, you may yet learn something by questioning the young man at the helm. I can hardly think that he is as ignorant as he pretends to be." This looks like another circumstance. For that matter, the case is getting to be so full of circumstances that one hardly knows how to foot up the evidence. But we will soon see how much the lad knows." Cap and the Sergeant now returned to their station near the helm, and the former renewed his inquiries.